Hi, this is Nicholas Yock, a registered migration and education agent from Pathway to Oz. Today, I'm going to discuss the 5 initial steps that I go through when deciding if someone is eligible to applying for permanent residency through general skilled migration. Even during consultations with clients, this is generally speaking the same steps that I undertake to determine if someone is eligible for the general skilled migration visas, skilled independent 189, state nominated subclass 190, or skilled regional 491. All right, so this is just a very simplified version of the process. Look, please note guys, the information is general in nature. So if you wanted a more, in detail look at your specifics, I'd recommend booking in for a migration consultation. All right guys, so step 1, choosing your occupation. Okay, so the very first step is to make sure that you've chosen an occupation that best suits your previous education and work experience. All right, so immigration has a list of different occupations on certain lists, the medium to long term, short term skilled, or the regional occupation list, we'll put the links below, that may be eligible for general skilled migration visas. It is important that you correctly identify which occupation matches closely to you. For certain occupations, this can be very simple. But for other occupations, it can also be quite confusing. Another great resource is the ANSCO occupation description, and I'll put the links below there. So guys, step 2, the skill assessment. All right, so in order to apply for any general skilled migration visa, you must first obtain a positive skill assessment from a relevant skill assessing authority. Without this, you can't apply for these visas. So the skill assessment ensures that your education and your work experience meets the Australian standards. Each occupation has a different skill assessor. For example, for trades, the occupation skill assessor is Trades Recognition Australia. For engineering occupations, the skill assessor is Engineers Australia. You can check the relevant skilling assessing authority next to your occupation on the relevant occupation list. You can also then go from there to review the skill assessment requirements on the skill assessor's website. So each occupation is a different set of education and work experience requirements and potentially other requirements as well. For example, for a certain trade, you may require a level 3 qualification and at least 3 years of full-time work experience. For a positive skill assessment for a primary school teacher, for example, you must have a minimum of 4 years full-time higher education university level study that included at least 45 days of vocational placement. You do not need any post-qualification work experience, but you do need to meet the English requirement. So look, the point is that each skill assessor is different, so be sure you can meet these before even looking to going further down the steps for PR. All right, so we've chosen the occupation, we've looked at the skill assessor. Yeah, I can meet those requirements. So the next step is to check the state occupation list and the visa requirements. Look guys, for any general skilled migration visa, you must be under 45 years of age. But each state has their own list of occupations. So if there is a skilled shortage in that particular profession in that state, the government may choose to nominate a visa holder in this role. Each state has their own list of occupations that they're interested in inviting and their own specific requirements for that occupation. It could be useful to review the individual websites of the states below to see which professions are required and what the requirements are for those states. So as an example guys, look, Queensland might be inviting accountants, New South Wales may not. Or Western Australia might only be inviting onshore applicants who are living and working in their occupation. If you're offshore, South Australia might require 8 years of work experience in your field. Look guys, the point is that no state list is the same and no state list requirements are the same. So be sure to review the individual state lists and requirements. We have a million separate videos on the individual state migration process, so I'd recommend you check those out. All right, so chose the occupation, skill assessment. I've looked at the state requirements, I think I meet them. The next step is to then lodge what's called an expression of interest, otherwise known as a points test. So guys, for these visas, you need to actually express your interest and be invited to apply for these. You can't just apply directly through your IMI account. So in order to receive an invitation, visa applicants must pass a points test. You need to have at least 65 points in order to submit an expression of interest for general skilled migration visas. However, generally speaking, the higher the points, the higher the chance you'll receive that invitation. You'll receive points for such things as age, education, work experience, English ability, relationship status, etc. On the expression of interest, you can also indicate which visa or visas, so the 189, the 491 and the 190. Yes, you can say I want to go for all three. You can indicate which of those you want to apply for and which state you'd like to be nominated by. Finally, once you've received the state nomination, you can then look to lodge the actual visa application through your IMI account. So you'll need to provide personal documentation, educational documentation, work experience, all that sort of stuff. Generally speaking, I think the visa application process is pretty simple. It's actually getting that invitation to apply that's the sort of difficult part. So I hope you found this information helpful, and all the links to be sure to check out the links to the relevant websites below. This is a very simplified version of what I'm sure is a very confusing process. But as always, guys, please note the information is general in nature, so be sure to consult with a registered migration agent to discuss your situation further. Thank you.